Funny, we ended up in Japan because we had the sex organs of a great white whale, and that's not legal. Here's Mark Bailey.
All right, and we're back with Talk Funny. I'm Mark Bailey, and our recent guest and co-host is here, Steve B. Howard. Welcome back.
Hello.
So, Steve, have you been to Fukuoka
Actually,
last year?
I went there last summer to do a comedy show with another person in the room.
We have to do a little background. For Nagoyacomedy, we play Gifu, and we play a lot of places in Nagoya and Toyohashi. And there's some other groups of comics in other cities. So there's a group in Osaka. They really have their act together. And there's a group in Tokyo. And so, anyway, so we got the opportunity. We jumped at it to go to Fukuoka.
Yeah.
Some guys from Osaka were organizing. And also, I guess one of the main guys, we can mention Ali.
Yeah.
He's very, very big on the scene in Fukuoka and also in Hong Kong and I guess in some other Chinese cities. And he was nice enough to offer us it wasn't even an open mic. It was just he offered us a spot. I said, "Can we get a spot that's not open mic?" And he said, "It's so competitive. I'll give you 5 minutes."
Right.
So I said, "Actually, my eyes are bad, and I actually was afraid I would get lost in Fukuoka, and I wanted to see if we could actually get some experience doing this in Fukuoka to see what it's like." So I asked Steve if he wanted to do it, and then I asked Ali, and he goes, "Well, that's 5 for both of you together." Right. So fine. And that's one of the rules is, even though we're not open mic, somebody offers you 5 minutes, you say, "Thank you, sir," and you don't say, "Why not 6?" Yeah. Right? And it actually paid off to our advantage because we ended up doing maybe 10 each. We were allowed to. Yeah. When we got there, they said, "Well, do whatever you want," which we'll do the reveal later. Yeah. But so that's one of the things is you invite somebody on and you give them 5 minutes and you're supposed to do 5 minutes. Then you're not supposed to do 10 and then complain about it. Or one thing that we had at open mic before where in Nagoya a guy gets up and he's not bad. We had a Finnish guy. He got on. He was pretty good. And then he starts negotiating with the microphone in his hand. "Okay, is that 5? Can I do 6?" Now, don't negotiate after you're on stage because now you're making me like the bad guy. And I'm like, "Well, we told you 5." That doesn't happen when you're doing a race. It's like, can I do it again? I could do faster the second time. Can I rerun it? Yeah. He was gracious enough to offer that to us, so we snapped at the chance. And I don't know, 30,000 yen tickets for Shinkansen and rented a hotel, and that was a nightmare in itself. Just renting that on the JTB site, whatever that was. Yeah. They're still using Windows 3 or something, and I think we actually bought 30. we actually reserved that place 37 times, but we only got one room. So it was Kafka.com. I don't know why that was so difficult to get through. So we got to Fukuoka. We had a great time. We loved Fukuoka, and we were kind of scouting out. Maybe we could do some gigs here, and we were so revved up, for the show. And a little bit nervous, I was like, wow, I don't even know what the crowd's going to be. It's like this, this is our chance. This is our Tonight Show. and we go in, so the headliner's not there yet, and the bartender's there. And well, I guess we're the opener, but the MC is there. And there's nobody else there.
Right. It's empty chairs.
And then the MC is like, "So do you know if this other guy's coming?" So one of the comics who was scheduled, I guess, didn't even show up. Yeah. And then the headliner shows up, and he's like, "Well, there's nobody here." So, I'm not going to do my gig. I'm like, "Hey, man, we paid to see you. We wanted to see you. We came from Nagoya to see you, not just to see you, but we wanted to see what a headliner looks like in Fukuoka. We didn't see that. So we found out what a headliner." So what happened, Steve? How was he? How was the headliner?
It was the greatest 2 minutes I've never seen.
It was. Remember when he didn't close with his, and he didn't do the opener or anything in the middle.
Yeah, I learned a lot from that.
So he basically, the headliner, I guess, was a little insulted that the audience wasn't there. Yeah. And there was a girl. She was pretty funny. She was kind of lady of kicks. I don't think she'll mind. She was actually pretty good. Yeah. And basically, the attitude of a comic that you should have, you show up and nobody's there, you should still do your act. And that's what I was a little bit surprised and disappointed in. It's like, I don't like the audience. It's very Larry David of you to go, well, look out and go, well, I don't like that audience. I'm not performing. Well, they paid to see you. But even if there's nobody there, it's like, I don't know. I felt like to not do it is violating some code of comedy. What do you think?
And I mean, I think Taylor, he got up and did 5 minutes. So,
yeah, he was good.
Yeah. So, but it was nice to go there though and just hang out with other comedians and talk to them. I did get a lot from that, but I agree. It would have been nice to see everybody perform.
I saw this guy again when I went to see Steve Hofstetter, and we're actually apparently not on bad terms. He didn't take it personally, but this was the kicker. By the way, Ollie, who invited us, he was busy in Hong Kong, so this is not even about him. He wasn't there, and we appreciate him inviting us. And we still would like to go back if there's an audience next time. That'd be nice. It's like I like a floor and a ceiling and an audience. That would be good. But even if there's no audience, I mean, just for the other comics, should do it. And I did my 10 minutes. They said you could do 10, whatever you want. And the kicker was the guy showed up and didn't do his. He goes, I'll do 2 jokes. He got up and did 2 jokes. Then he sat down and he goes, well, how long have you been doing comedy? I'm like, 30 years. How about you? 6 years. He's like, would you like me to critique you? I'm like, well, we came here to see your act. I think I did my act. I think whatever I did, trumps yours. Whatever act I do trumps you not doing yours. Yeah. It's this thing that I have when someone gets a new car and it's like, well, I was going to get a new car. It was going to be prettier than the one you have. Well, yeah, but you have a car. And the other guy didn't, right? So if I had run the race, I would have done better. I'm like, yeah, you might have more clout critiquing me if you actually did your act.
I did get some good feedback from him, though. I will say, but I'm only been doing this for 2 years, so
what did you learn from him? If you could share.
Well, he. Which a lot of comedians, famous comedians, I've heard him say, it takes anywhere between 3 to 7 years to sort of find your, what would you say, personality on stage. And so your
comic voice
is
what
comic
he
voice, comic voice. And he said, I was impressed with your jokes and stuff, and I think, I can see that you're on your way to find your comic voice. And he said, I think once you get more experience and do that, you probably will be a really strong comedian in the future. And so, at that point, I'd only been doing it for 1 year. So any type of positive feedback is always good. We might want to mention too, I think you've said before, comedians and writers in general, creative people are generally very needy. So
yeah, I'll mention one of my faults, and this I've told all the comics this. I cannot take criticism. I just can't. And it may be old age, but I don't think I ever took criticism in my whole life. Yeah. I just don't like it. I have this kind of, it's almost it's almost Asperger-esque. I have there's an affliction, I'll have to look it up, that sometimes sounds bother people. And I've almost got that. Yeah. And that's why when we do the podcast, I'm really sensitive to audio problems because I hear them on other podcasts and I'm like, I can't even believe people. I mean, I can't even listen to this. It's like it's like in my head. It's like a bug in my head. I can't listen to it. It irritates me. It must be like an OCD person. It's kind of oral OCD. It's like an OCD person if he sees a stack of papers that's not straight. Right. That's what I hear. I hear a stack of papers that are not straight. It drives me nuts. So I'm kind of anal about the sound of it orally. And so another problem with that is when someone says something, they may say something and it may not even be an insult, but it sticks with me. Like I can remember stuff like my friends, what they said 25, 35 years ago. And I bring the conversation up and I say, like you said one time, like I never said that. I still have the conversation in my head. So if you say, oh, nice shirt. That was nice that you picked that for your stand-up. That will be with me for 30 years. So I just made a rule. If I'm going to take criticism, I'll take it from Steve Martin, thank you very much, and Gilbert Gottfried. I'm not going to take it from a guy with 6 years experience who didn't do his act. That's the thing. Is like comics are very
touchy.
Yeah, very touchy. Yeah, extremely overly sensitive. And I think it was Louis C.K. who said this when there was a rift between the feminists about whether you can tell certain kind of jokes. And the feminists said, well, these kind of jokes are not, I don't want to get trolled, so we won't say it, but you can imagine what's offensive to feminists. These kind of jokes are not funny. Louis C.K. said, well, it doesn't surprise me because feminists can't take a joke and comics can't take criticism, which is exactly true.
Right.
Especially for comics. And if there are any comics that when you start out, you do take criticism. I did. I took it when I started out. Yeah. But it's like now people that have a sixth of my experience, I'm like, well, maybe they don't know what I know, right? And so they're critiquing me on stuff that maybe, number one, I may not even be willing to change. Right. Sometimes Tim will say, why are you so angry? Like, that's my shtick, man. That's my comic voice. I'm not going to be able to change it now. Right. And even if I picked up the magic wand and I learned to, get on Jimmy Fallon tomorrow night with the magic formula of comedy, I'm not so sure that an old dog can learn new tricks that quickly.
Yeah.
So also another thing with old dogs, they don't want to learn new tricks.
Right.
They're not interested in that.
Yeah.
You know, when you're open mic and you're starting out, it's good to take criticism and everything. And I wish I could take criticism, but I just, you know, since I'm the guy that books things, I don't think I really have to. But the bottom line is, any advice, the more you practice, the better you get. That's true with anything,
Mm-hmm.
except for maybe space travel, because
or suicide.
Yeah. So
I guess you only have to do that once to perfect it, right?
Yeah. The more you practice, and here's the good thing about recording your bit, you're actually practicing, and you keep playing it back and you practice. And I will rewrite my set, and nobody's heard it yet. And I rewrote it again. And that's what Jerry Seinfeld does, but he does it over the course of a year. Yeah. We do it over the course of 2-3 weeks. So anything else about the Fukuoka? I actually may cut out some of that.
Well, I guess the other funny part of it is I realized that Google Maps doesn't work for everybody because I think we spent more time just walking around that 4-block area, Fukuoka, trying to find the bar than we actually spent on the Shinkansen getting down to Fukuoka from Nagoya.
Yeah, and it was very hot that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see, August.
Okay, yeah. So hot, humid August weather in Fukuoka, and we spent a good 3.5 hours just stumbling around because we wanted to know where the bar was before we played that night, and just couldn't find it. It was 1 block away, and we were just on one street, and finally, after getting wrong directions from several convenience stores, we finally were able to find it.
Yeah, here's the thing with, what was that? It was Google Maps. I have like Navigator now on my iPhone, and even that's not so good. Like I went to Osaka, and it will tell you, like, you know, take the next left. There's no left. I'm on a bridge. I'm not that depressed. I'm on a bridge. Like, take the left now. Can I see the show first before I jump? You know, and she's like, cross the crosswalk. And I'm like, which one? The one I just passed or the one I'm going to? Yeah. And then another thing is the voice will say, you've arrived, and you're standing at a convenience store.
Right.
And what she means is, yeah, you're standing at a Lawson's, you've arrived. I'm like, how much do you actually know about me? You actually know more about me that I hang out more at convenience stores than I do at comedy clubs. But what she means is the building, and what you have to find out is it's the other side of the building, which in some cities is a whole square, which happened to us. Yeah. And they kept saying, it's on your right. It was actually on the right, on the other side of us. The Navigator didn't tell us you're not on the street. I think you are.
Well, I think we were trying to match up what Navigator was telling us, plus the directions the guy from the hotel had written for us, plus the directions we've gotten from the 4 or 5 different convenience stores we've gone into. And I think it was a McDonald's we went into finally? They actually said, oh, it's right down the street, and then it was 2 minutes away or something.
Yeah, we basically had to triangulate. It's like, okay, the girl at the first Lawson said it's behind the Lawsons. Right. And then the girl at the second Lawson said it's on the left. And then the lady at McDonald's said it's right down the street. So it's got to be one of these 3 buildings. Yeah. And then we looked, and it's like, you know, I don't think the signage was very good. Yeah. And it was something like on the 3rd floor or something.
Well, I think the irony, too, was because we ate lunch at that Indian restaurant, and it was like pretty much kitty corner from the Indian restaurant. And when we came out of the Indian restaurant, we went the opposite direction. If we would have taken a left, we would have been right there. But
well, that's why we're in comedy and not taxi drivers. Right. So it doesn't mean we're good at directions. All right, we're going to close this out. This is Talk Funny. And the next episode, we're going to talk to Steve about his writing and his actual fiction writing in his book. And this is Talk Funny, and Steve Howard has been with us. I'm Mark Bailey. We'll talk to you next week.